Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Nut Job Podcast, episode 2. And I'm chuffed to bits to have on Three Dads Walking. We've got Tim, Mike, and Andy. Mike's feeling a little bit under the weather, so he's not joining us at the moment, but hopefully he might join us halfway through. So I'm just going to bring the guys on, and then we'll go from there. So, brilliant.
Hi, Trevor.
Hi, Trevor.
Hello. Hello, how are you guys?
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Good. Obviously better than Mike, actually.
Good. I know. Hopefully he gets well soon. Hopefully he's not too sick for too long and off the loo back forward. I just want to say thanks for coming on. It's really great to have you come on the podcast. It's like I said, it's the new podcast I've started. This is only my second one. So I'm getting used to the software, which is StreamYard. There's a lot to do, and I'm not the most technical side person, but I'm getting there. So it's really positive. So obviously Mike's not here, but you just want to mention your daughter's names and stuff like that, if just for the people that might not, because you guys should be known across the whole world by now, but just for the people that don't know who Three Dads Walking are, that'd be brilliant. Thank you.
Well, I'm Andy. I'm Sophie's dad, and I live up in Cumbria near Penrith.
I'm Tim. I'm Emily's dad, and I live very near Kingsley in Norfolk.
And then, of course, we've got Mike, who's Beth's dad.
Brilliant. And Mike's daughter was Beth, wasn't it?
Yeah. And so he lives in South Manchester. Just moved. He was in Sale. He's now in Northern Moor, but South Manchester.
Yeah. So he's moved on a little bit. He's moved about a bit. Obviously, we all know that what you've been through and stuff. But how did you physically meet? How did you get together to do what you're doing?
Well, as you know, Trevor, when your child takes their own life, your world's shattered, and it's just, everything that you took for granted is gone and is broken, and you wonder how the hell you're going to carry on living. So we lost Soph just before Christmas 2018, and looking for a funeral. Actually, we were trying to find a suicide prevention charity, and a friend of mine pointed us at PAPYRUS, prevention of young suicides, that we're all supporting here, and I'd never come across them. And obviously, if you look at the website and you find that statement that suicide's the biggest killer under 35s, and I kind of thought, bloody hell, that can't be right, and we raised money at a funeral, and I just thought, I've got to do something to help this charity. So I got stuck in and was doing a lot of stuff, running, hula hooping, skipping, all kinds of stuff. So I kind of got stuck into the charity and became quite high profile within PAPYRUS 2019 and 2020.
Yeah.
So that was me. But then Mike and Tim kind of came along in 2020.
Yeah. So if you kind of roll the clock forward 14 months, we lost Em just the week before lockdown started. She was only 19, bless her, and we didn't know which way to go. And we funeral of 6 people, and we were just in a whole world of her. We were just navigating, the loss of Em, navigating all the COVID restrictions. And little did we know that somewhere up in Manchester, 5 days after we lost Em, Mike lost Beth. Beth was 17, and she just went to a low point, and none of the three of us knew each other. And it was exactly a month after we lost Em that and I've never heard of PAPYRUS. My eldest daughter said, "Dad, I've been speaking to this bloke in Manchester." Now, my eldest daughter was 21 at the time, so I was having kittens that she was talking to some strange bloke in Manchester.
And she was.
He was very strange. And what had happened was, Annabelle had seen something about Beth on the social media about this young girl in Manchester who'd taken her own life. And Mike had been obviously on media, and somehow through the magic of social media, my eldest daughter reached out to Mike's Emily, so Mike's daughter. And the next thing I know, Annabelle was talking to Mike, and Annabelle, my eldest, suggested that Mike and I talk. So it was exactly a month after we lost Em, 3 weeks after Mike lost Beth, that Mike and I first text Mike, and then we speak to each other straight away. And so that was it. That was us two kind of agreeing to support each other, and we, found massive comfort. I was in a bad place, but Mike was in an even worse place, and we found great comfort in 2 dads, 2 teenage daughters a week apart. And both of us were inquisitive, and I did some stuff with Mind, and Mike told me about this charity PAPYRUS. And then Mike went on a training course with PAPYRUS and ended up sitting by your son, didn't he?
He did. So my lad was at Liverpool University at the time. PAPYRUS head office is in Warrington, and Mike was doing this PAPYRUS ambassadors course, I think it was.
Yeah.
He part of his mindset was very much doing suicide prevention training and suicide awareness courses, and just trying to try and work out what the hell was going on, and maybe what had happened, what they'd missed.
Yeah.
Anyway, he'd been on this course and literally sat next to Gregor. And in the PAPYRUS at the time, there's quite a few photos of me as a, obviously as a pin-up boy for the charity with the stuff I'd done. And so Mike kind of when he and Gregor were speaking, went, "So is he your dad? This Run for Sophie bloke, your dad?" Gregor went, "Yeah, he is." And so Mike had been thinking about doing something, and he said to Gregor, "Do you think he's going to be up for a challenge, another challenge?" And Gregor's kind of, "I don't know. Here's his phone number, give him a ring." And that was actually December the 11th. It was the day before what would have been Sophie's 31st birthday that those two met. And then Mike phoned me in the spring of 2021. And like Tim, we talked for ages on the phone, ages and ages. And talked about what we'd gone through and the emotions that we'd gone through and how our lives had changed and what we were doing. And as Tim said, I was kind of 14 months ahead on this really horrible journey. And I kind of got my head round how good it was for me personally to do things to help PAPYRUS, to do things that would help other people not going down this route. So I was kind of very much focused on that. And anyway, Mike said he'd had an idea, and so rather than talk about it much on the phone, I said, "Well, let's get together." So we arranged to go for a walk, and not far from here, and had a very powerful walk. End of April, I think it was, or May, beginning of May, something like that. And we walked only about 6 miles, but I remember that night coming home when I was knackered, just emotionally drained from the day. Because we were very open with each other about what had gone on. But in amongst all that, Mike then said, he explained about Tim and this chap who'd helped him survive, really. And Mike said he had this idea that to try and show that suicide doesn't discriminate, it could happen to any family anywhere in the country, about walking between our homes. And well, that's a good idea. That's a really good idea, I think. And he said, obviously start here, walk to his house in Manchester. He said, "Remind me where Tim lives." And he said, "Just outside of King's Lynn." He didn't realise that's Norfolk, don't you, Mike? I'm not sure he did, now knowing how bad his navigation is. Anyway, but I thought, bloody brilliant idea. And then that led on to the first Zoom call, the 3 of us.
Yeah, in April 21, wasn't it?
Is that what it was?
Yeah. So yeah, that's how we met. That's how the 3 of us. But the weird thing is, we all met.
Go on, Trevor, fire away.
Yeah, I was just going to say, did you find that you gelled quite quick together?
We've never gelled, have we, Tim?
Not at all.
No.
Yeah.
Go on, you answer.
So with three dads, totally different characters, totally different parts of the world, but bonded by this, loss of our daughters, and kind of got each other straight away. And we've all got different strengths and weaknesses, and they kind of complement each other. And we gelled straight away. We met once via Zoom. We met at beginning of July, I think it was, face to face for the first time. We met once more to kind of launch our walk at a brewery, which is good. And then the third time we met was the when we started walking, basically. So we were, it did just gelled. It just gelled. So that was cool.
And one of the things that we found since then, we've subsequently met so many suicide bereaved parents, and that feeling when you meet people who've gone through the same thing, you're in the same place, or you've had that shattering shared experience and the bitter, exquisite grief that you get, which actually allows you to communicate with people in such a different way. So we've seen how talking to other suicide bereaved parents is a massive help, massive support. And we've just kind of magnified it by hurling ourselves together and not being able to shake each other off. Fortunately, very fortunately, we do happen to get on very well, actually, and then we end up making each other laugh a lot. We laugh a lot, don't we?
Normally at each other,
That's good.
Always,
That's
always
good.
at each other, always, and it's great, incredibly powerful friendship.
Yeah, definitely is. You can tell when you're on the TV or social media. You can see that there's a bond there between the three of you, which is absolutely amazing. Because, like you said, to go through something so traumatic, but to be able to have three of you together, to be able to lean on each other whenever you need it. That's your characters, really.
I think that to me was so important. Because we were at the start of the pandemic when Em died, there was no support or very little support. I had a bit of support through work, which was fantastic, but the normal sources of support you get just weren't there. And to realise that at the time I got another dad who I could phone whatever time of day or night it was and say, I'm feeling really bad, mate. And like Mike did that to me. I know Andy was a bit further ahead, but when Sophie died, he got like community around him. And then when both Mike and I were kind of searching for somebody that was that little bit ahead of us, that could tell us how to live, if you like. But, Mike and I our daughters died within 5 days of each other. We didn't know where we were going to. But when we met Andy, he was that 14 months further down the line. And so he was a guide to us to go, bloody hell, if he can get to 14 months down the line, we can as well. And there was another guy that I met through my boss at work, Rico, who's done some great stuff, and he lost his son in 2013. And likewise, I lent on him to say, how the hell do you get 7 years down the line? Because, well, Trevor, when you lose your child, your daughter, you can't see what's going to happen in the next hour, let alone in the next day or the week or the year. So living in that split second is a nightmare. And so if you can find something in the future to aim for, that's a really powerful thing.
A bit like me. I mean, in a way, I tend to support others. Chloe died in 2014, so I'm quite far down the line now, and I'm in a place where I feel as though I can do that confidently, talk about it, and I'm offering support. Like I said to Andy earlier, I have a monthly tea and talk at work where I work, and it's just people sit and open up and talk, and it's confidential and stuff like that. So it's like you're on a journey. I mean, to me, you are quite early in the journey. And how is the fundraising been? Like, did you feel as though it was a good action?
Well, you say again, Trevor, you just broke up a bit there. Was it a what?
Sorry, I'm just. How did you feel the charity fundraising and everything, and your walking went for you? Was it a positive distraction to have?
Well, what happened with me? My background is sales and marketing, and so I've always been into communication, I suppose, in one way or another. And what actually happened was when also we supported Papyrus at Sol's funeral, but then prior to her death, Soph had been training to run a half marathon at the end of the February, and she'd been trying to get me to run it, and I was just ignoring it. But then over Christmas, it became clear that her mate, Laura, was going to still run this half marathon. And to start off with, we kind of said, well, we need to go across and support her. It was across at Bamburgh, actually, across in Northumberland. And then I kind of thought, no, I'm going to have to run it. Just going across and clapping isn't the right thing to do. I should go and run it. And then I went to enter this thing to find out it had been sold out. And then I actually contacted the organisers, and they allowed me to run using Sophie's entry. And as soon as I came off the phone talking to them, I thought, bloody hell, what a fantastic human interest story, you know. I just thought, I can do something with this. And so I set up all kinds of stuff under #Run for Sophie, and put up a training diary every day.
Yeah.
If you Google #Run for Sophie, you'll get loads of videos of me being hot and sweaty and not looking very pretty at all. Yeah. And started raising money. You know, I think it was a £5,000 or something like that I wanted to raise, and in the end, I raised over £40,000. But the thing that struck me,
that's really
what struck me was I realised within about a week that the money was actually the byproduct. Because of the contacts I was using, I was getting quite a lot of media coverage, in particular up in this part of the world. A friend of mine's, Alison Freeman, who's the journalist who's followed, BBC journalist who's followed the three dads. But I'd known Alison for ages, and she kind of got me on Look North, you know, out of Newcastle, and what I realised I was doing, yes, I was raising money for Papyrus, which was great, but what was happening was people were beginning to talk about suicide and suicide prevention, and the guys at Papyrus were reporting that because of the profile I was generating, they were getting calls to the Helpline UK. And so that was the thing for me.
Yeah.
And so by the time I did the half marathon, then I couldn't stop. I couldn't not do something to help them. And so I found it incredibly positive, personally. And it is just, I realised that I would have to keep doing it, because it was helping other people, but it was helping me as well. And so when Tim and Mike, we came together, very well, right, I've got this tame BBC journalist. I think we might be able to make this quite big, but we didn't realise what the hell it was going to turn into.
Well, when we first started it, we knew we set a really low target, but £3,000 each, you know, and we knew before we started, before Mike went on the red sofa, we were just at about £9,000. So we'd made our £3,000 each from friends, from family, because they all wanted to contribute to help us out, and, you know, the network. Yeah. And we knew before we 3 weeks short of starting the first walk, we knew we were doing okay, but we'd got no idea of the scale. And then Mike went on the red sofa about 2.5 weeks before we started, just on his own, and he was with Jed, I think, CEO of the charity, sorry. And our just giving went up to about £50,000, and it was like, blimey! And so we knew we got something big. We didn't know how big. And then on the way, when we were all meeting at Andy's house in Cumbria, and I was on the train going up north, and sitting on Preston Station when Papyrus contacted us on WhatsApp and said, Daniel Craig, 007 Daniel Craig, he's just donated £10,000. And we were, blimey, that's a lot. And this was at the time when the latest Bond film had just been delayed and blah. So he was, he was in the headlines all the time. And so we knew it was going to be big. Then we were live on BBC Breakfast at the start. And Andy and Mike had both turned off their Just Giving notifications. I made the mistake of not turning off my Just Giving notifications. And I think by lunchtime that day, after we'd been live on BBC Breakfast and Moorland as we started walking, my phone was pinging in my pocket the whole time to say another email. By lunchtime, I think I've got 2,605 emails. And by the time, I couldn't work out how to turn these donations off. And then by the time we finished that first day, I was at over 4,000 emails. It was like, oh my word. And we'd gone to over £200,000 on that first day.
Well, and I bet that took a while to go through.
Oh, crikey, that was just immense. And I mean, we'd raised £200,000 and we'd walked kind of 20 miles.
Yeah.
It's just like,
most of it was downhill.
Yeah, best we do some more walking then. But it does. And to know, I think the simple fact with Papyrus is, we knew that every £5 we raise could be supporting a life-saving call to Papyrus's Hope Line. That the figure is it costs the charity the £5 to support a call. And we're just looking at it and going, every £5 we get could be saving a life. Could be. I'm not saying it will, but it could be. And that was massively tangible to us. And it was incredible, that feeling that, blimey, we've just got to walk now to raise money. And that really did drive us on. I know Andy was really injured on the first walk, bless him. Yeah. But knowing that really drove us on, didn't it?
Yes. It was amazing. And the thing that struck us was, firstly, we were gobsmacked by the value that was coming in. It was just, I did suggest to them that £3,000 each was a bit piffling, actually.
Okay.
But, I thought we might raise maybe £60,000 or something like that. I thought we'd do that, but it was just overwhelming almost. The value. But the thing that really struck us were the numbers of people. And the sheer numbers, like Tim was saying, like 4,000 people in a day.
And that was just to my Just Giving, wasn't it? Not to your two. That was a third of it.
Yeah, and it was just the feeling that the message that we were putting out was firstly being heard, and then secondly, people were reacting to it, and it was humbling, really. And I know, like Tim said, it did kind of prove the point that we couldn't avoid doing the whole thing now, because we were known, we were seen, and it was making a massive.
Yeah, and like you said, once you've raised a certain amount, you just want to keep going and see how far you can go. Because, like you said, that £5, it potentially could save a life, but it actually does give somebody that opportunity to have that call sort of thing. And like we all know now, that the Hope Line's gone 24/7, which is brilliant.
Yeah,
which is massive.
Yeah, that's awesome.
What did you feel like when you hit that £1 million?
Oh God, yeah, amazed, really. Absolutely amazed. I mean, it was nice because the first walk we did was aimed at awareness raising and fundraising. Two aspects to it, really. And at the end of that, with all the Just Giving and with all the gift aid and stuff, we're at over 800,000. And the second walk was more aimed at the campaign, because the Papyrus money, the money for Papyrus is great, but it's a lot of it is used in the actual life-saving, and we could keep giving that money forever and ever and ever, but let's try and get upstream of it. So we had this campaign in the second walk, as you know, to let's put this petition out on the government website and to get suicide on the school curriculum.
Fiona's phone.
Yeah,
I'm really pleased I got that bang on $1 million.
So we were
Wow.
We did the second walk. We knew the second walk. We didn't want to focus too much on fundraising. We hoped it would come in, but we wanted the second walk to be, if we can raise this with the government, if we can raise this with the decision makers, then we can make a difference long term. That was the important thing about the second walk, was the campaign and making a difference long term. And whilst the money coming in was still brilliant, and we got the cost of living crisis, so we knew that, you know, it was going to hurt even more for people to give. That the important point for us on the second walk was the campaign, was very much the campaign, because if we can get suicide prevention on the school curriculum, that will equally save lives. And that was so important to us. So we're not just firefighting now, we're not just aiming to firefight with the money we raised. Let's get way upstream of it and start educating our kids from a very young age about how to handle their emotions, that help-seeking behaviour, and how to, you know, teach them that, you know, some of you, 20% of you will have those, you know, suicidal thoughts, and you need to be able to deal with it. You need to have plans to deal with it before those thoughts strike. So yeah, the fundraising was, as Andy says, when that £1 million on Fiona's phone was there, dead on $1 million. It was like, wow. So it's great to have raised $1 million, brilliant. But the bigger goal, if you like, is to get the suicide prevention on the school curriculum. That is the big goal.
It is,
and
then
and like you said, that impact you had was.
Yeah, go on.
I was just going to say the impact you had, the impact that you had with the fundraising during the cost of living crisis just goes to show how supportive the people were for you during that time.
Yeah, it is. It's a kind of weird place that we've put ourselves in, and certainly wasn't by design. You know, we didn't expect to be this kind of scale. But the thing was, again, the money's still a byproduct, because the key thing is getting people talking about suicide and suicide prevention, and the feedback we've had from so many folk, it's been amazing. You know, the number of people who've thanked us for introducing them to Papyrus, or allowing or creating a bit of a safe space where they could just talk to their children about concerns that they'd had. So we know we're making a difference there, which is incredibly positive. But say this byproduct that we've created has been massive, and it has helped Papyrus push on their plan for growth. And the Helpline 24/7 was one of that. You know, it was there as a plan, but because of the extra cash, unexpected cash we've generated, they managed to pull all the plans forward. So they're doing that and opening more offices, which will save more lives. You know, it's gobsmacking, really.
We had a message today from a guy that had seen us on telly, and he'd intervened with a girl trying to take her life. It was several months ago. 13-year-old girl was trying to take her life, and he saw her, seen what we'd been doing on telly, and he intervened. He didn't know whether to at the time. Anyhow, he followed up with her a few months later, and he said, "Got the mess. We only had this morning."
I've not seen this.
Yeah, it's really powerful. So he's 50 years old, same, you know, middle-aged man like we are, and there was a 13-year-old girl about to take her life. He saw it, didn't know what to do. He'd seen us on telly, and he intervened with that girl. Got her back home, took her home, and to her family. Yeah. And in his message to us today, he put, tonight she sent me a message several months later to say she was fine and enjoying school. I wanted to share the information with you so you know you're making a difference. Keep fighting for change. So that's a 50-year-old bloke that saw us on telly, stopped a young girl in the act of taking her own life, and because he felt empowered to do that, empowered to intervene by what we'd said. And then several months later, she's at school, enjoying life, doing okay. And that's just talking about it. That's not doing anything special. So that is, to me, that's really powerful. That's a life that was saved.
It just shows how powerful it is. Like you said, the messages have been getting across constant. That's one example of the massive impact it had. Like it's already saving lives.
Yeah, no, one of the on the first walk, one of the feedback we had in the probably about the end of the first week or something like that, the guys from PAPYRUS Helpline, we got a message from them to say that the calls to Helpline had gone up by about 20%. Many people actually referencing us as the reason that they found the Helpline, but they also said that they'd seen something that they'd never seen before. They quite often got a bit of a spike in calls if something high profile had happened that mentioned the charity. But they said what they'd never seen before were dads phoning up asking for help. If it was a concerned parent phoning up asking for help, it was almost invariably a mother. But after we'd been seen, dads were phoning up and asking their help, which I thought was fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Again, completely unplanned, not something we'd envisaged we could affect.
Yeah, that is amazing. Like you said, obviously you've had an impact across the country. Like you said, a positive step for getting in contact and up. So yeah, that's great. I just wanted to touch on when I actually met you for the first time at Westminster when you did finish walk. It was quite a wet day that day, but again, I just wanted to, because I remember me phone constantly to keep an eye on the signatures for the petition. It was like 70,000, 80,000, 90,000, and then you touched 100,000. That was huge.
Yeah, that was an awesome moment. Because we've been nominated for a Just Giving award, and we were waiting to go to the award. So we finished the walk. We were absolutely freezing. We hadn't been cold on the entire walk. We were soaked wet through in the centre of London, for heaven's sake. And we were waiting to go to the Just Giving Awards, not knowing if we'd won an award or not. But as normal, we're in a pub because we've just finished the walk, so we're having a beer. And we were literally just watching it. And as it clicked over 100,000, it was an incredibly powerful moment because it was just like fantastic. We've done as much as we can now in terms of it's now over to the decision makers, the policy makers, whether they want to debate this. We're just three dads. We're not famous. We haven't got a platform to start with before we did the walks. And if we've created that, then it's up to now the decision makers to start taking action. Not just us. They've got to do something about it. So it was a massively powerful and emotional few minutes in the pub.
It was lovely, wasn't it?
Over a beer, it was lovely. It was lovely. Just the right time as well, because we were all just sitting there. We were dried out. We were still in our walking kit, but we were dried out. And when everyone else was in dinner jackets and stuff to go to these awards, and we were in our walking kit, that was quite cool.
It was good,
it was good. It was brilliant.
Yeah. No, just one on getting it into the school curriculum. Has anyone mentioned about how they're going to do it? How are they going to incorporate it in the school curriculum?
Well, it's been interesting that a lot of people have asked us, what does this look like? And we've basically gone, we don't know, because we aren't educationalists. We aren't experts in this. The one thing the reason that we went down this route was because on the first walk, we met so many suicide bereaved parents who said, like us, they hadn't seen it coming. They only found out about PAPYRUS after the event, and it was only then that they found out that suicide's the biggest killer of under 35s. And people were just saying to us every day, why didn't anybody tell us? Why didn't everybody tell our children that the biggest risk to themselves, the biggest risk as they grow up to their lives are themselves? Why didn't anybody tell us? And it was that, and that question being asked day after day after day after day prompted us to look at the school curriculum when we finished the walk, and it's amazing the stuff that's on that RSHE curriculum, and it's come on massively since I was at school. I mean, that didn't exist. So there's lots of good stuff, particularly around mental health and well-being and emotional development, and so it's great, all good. But you come to the end, as it were, and suicide they say suicide prevention can be taught, so it's not compulsory, but it can only be taught to older pupils, whatever that means. And that really pissed us off, because it kind of felt like they were doing a lot of good work and then actually missing the critical bit, the bit that actually saves lives. Particularly thinking about young people who were having suicidal thoughts. If they'd gone through all this good stuff that was already being done and they're having suicidal thoughts, it kind of makes you feel that you're beyond help immediately, rather than there is help out there, which is what set us off down the route of attacking the government. And what was your question, Trevor? I've got down this route, but what was the point I was trying to make, Tim?
Just it as well now, mate.
Just how it was just about how you think it'll be incorporated within the school curriculum. Will it become an awareness thing in schools?
Yeah. Okay, gotcha. And so the question we were asking was the easy bit. It's like saying, this is the gap. We need to do this. As a society, we've got to tell our young people about the most dangerous thing in their lives, and we've got an opportunity to do it as they're going through school. Add it on. So we were doing the easy bit, saying, look at that. Biggest risk to young people, tell them about it. If we don't tell them about it, we're being idiots. So that was the easy bit. The how and what it looks like is definitely not down to us. However, we've met loads of people who can do it, who know how to do it. The experts in terms of education, in charities, people who are actually delivering suicide prevention lessons and workshops now. And we had the privilege just before Christmas to go and see a Cumbrian charity, Every Life Matters, deliver suicide prevention workshops to two groups of children, 11 and 12-year-olds and 15 and 16-year-olds. And it was fantastic. Wow. Absolutely fantastic, because it was safe, it was controlled, it was informative, it was engaging. The kids got loads out of it. It was challenging, but it was just done in such a fantastic way. Fantastic.
There's with that stuff that we saw being delivered, there was a key thing. The two key things from my perspective. One was it was all age appropriate. So there were two different lessons being delivered. One to 11 and 12-year-olds, which was a bit more gentle, and one to 15 and 16-year-olds, which was a bit more, harder facts, but both age appropriate. Second really powerful fact, that was delivered to two classes of about 25, so 50 pupils. The parents had to give their permission for that suicide prevention lesson to be delivered. Not one parent said, do not deliver that to my child. So that is, 100% hit rate of 50 sets of parents that want that those life-saving skills to be passed to their children, which is incredibly powerful. And as Andy says, this material is out there. We've heard some dreadful stories from PAPYRUS where they've been called into a school to give a suicide prevention lesson after there's been a suicide. So what generally happens is a school suffers a suicide, there's a bit of a panic, they don't want to have a repeat, so they bring in the suicide prevention professionals. Wouldn't it be better if the suicide prevention lesson was given before the child took their own lives? It's just, we do prevention for everything else. We do, fire safety training, we do road safety, we do all this training and prevention work around knife crime, drugs, the prevent strategy to stop counter-radicalisation. But the biggest risk to our young people, we don't mention it because it's the S word. It doesn't make sense. Sorry, rant over.
We've got to be proactive and not reactive.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
We are for every other risk, but not this.
We'd like the schools to be. I'd like teachers to be assist trained, because I did the assist course in London with Jen.
All right.
I think as all educational professionals should be assist trained.
Yeah, and one of the things that stands out we met loads and loads of teachers as well along our journey, and without exception, they've all said, "Yeah, you're saying the right thing. We do need to do this to our young people, but we need help too." And we not realised that teachers could go through their teacher training and not have any mental health training and mental health first aid, never mind suicide prevention first aid at all. And then they were launched into these rooms full of young people that are charged with emotion, and they're not trained to deal with it. It's just stupid.
And they're not trained to deliver the RSHE curriculum. So, there needs to be a package, especially for the teachers at the moment. There needs to be a package around it. There needs to be support for the teachers. It's just got to happen. And in the longer term, the much longer term, imagine if we have all our kids now, the youngsters now, the 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds who, grow up thinking suicide prevention is routine. It's a good thing to do, to talk about it. They will become the teachers. In 10 years' time, they'll be the teachers of the next generation. So if we invest now, in 10 years' time, those young kids will be the adults of the future. They'll be delivering. They'll be in a much better place than the teachers at the moment. So it almost just grow, and it won't just be teachers, it'll be every aspect of society. If we can train people like this, how many, you do lots of good stuff with the civil service and stuff, delivering suicide prevention. What if your audience had already got that embedded in them? What if your audience already knew? Oh yeah, and it's just almost like a refresher for them, rather than starting from scratch. It's about a long-term investment in society. Simple as that.
Yeah, definitely. I even thought of the small little papyrus cards that they're bullet size. If they're given out in schools, so the kids have got something in their wallets or purses or bags. So they've got an option at the minute that they haven't got an option.
Exactly. I totally agree. And all three of us said, none of the three of us knew about PAPYRUS. I didn't even know there was such a thing as a suicide prevention charity. I knew there were mental health charities, but the S word wasn't mentioned. And that was the whole point. If all three of us said, if we'd known about the charity, or if our girls had known about the charity, then maybe, just maybe, at least one of them would still be here. And that's the whole point. We didn't know where to reach out to. And indeed, Em, bless her, she was diagnosed with autism when she was 15, and she'd been through some really hard times between the age of 13 and 15, involved with CAMS. Nobody pointed us towards a suicide prevention line at all. There was no knowledge of it at all.
Like you said, you think the professionals would be educated on all things suicide prevention and pass that message on, sort of thing, which hopefully with what you guys are doing at the minute, it's going to change. It has to change. So we've just got to keep going at the end of the day and trying to get that message across.
Exactly.
I just want to ask, what was it like meeting the Prime Minister?
Tim liked his cakes.
I liked his cakes. His cakes were good. I had 2 of his cakes in his backyard. No, but the striking thing to me, was the first thing he said to us was, "I'm the dad of 2 young girls." So he came at our conversation clearly as a Prime Minister, as the Prime Minister, as a really powerful chap, but also he came as a dad of 2 young girls. And we know suicide doesn't discriminate. It could easily as happen, to the richest, most powerful family in the country, to the poorest family in the country, to whatever race, whatever religion, whatever. It doesn't matter. There's no discrimination at all. So none of us are immune from it. And so meeting him and hearing him talk about being a dad, that was incredibly powerful, to think that he was coming at this problem, this issue, as a dad as well as a Prime Minister.
I think it was interesting when we sat down with him. It was obviously that he'd been well briefed for certain. I think he's got a reputation for being very well briefed and be able to handle a brief. But it was also clear that he'd looked at our website, the threedadswalking.uk website, himself, and that he'd actually taken time to do some background research into what we were there for. And we engaged. It was a very, it was a good conversation. I mean, he was never going to say, great idea, lads, it's happening tomorrow, because the machine of government doesn't work like that. But what it did allow us to do was, towards the end of the conversation, was to talk to him about what happens next. And we already had a what happens next, which was a meeting with Julian Keegan, Education Secretary. So that was already in our diaries.
Yes, seen that,
and so he went away saying, yes, he would go and talk to his Education Secretary about the conversation he'd had, and talk about the insights that he'd gained from us. And we'll look forward to us being involved in what happens next within education. So it's a really positive finish to that meeting, knowing that he not said it, at no point did he say this is a bad idea, we're not going to do it. But he was going to take it on and have a conversation with the right people within government.
Yeah, and that's really positive. That is, like you said, it's touching the right people in the government to be able to make the difference. They'll have the power to be able to do that. Someone's got to nod them in the right direction, and that's what you guys are doing. We've got to keep on it. Something becomes live in schools. Was it yesterday? Did you meet Kevin Sinfield, the rugby player? Was it yesterday or the day before?
Oh God, we've got a man crush.
We were at BBC. Obviously, met Gillian Keegan on Monday, which was a really powerful meeting again, really useful meeting, really productive meeting. She's invited us back to help support. And so we raced up from London up to Manchester to be on the red sofa yesterday morning. And we'd done our interview on BBC Breakfast. We went to collect up where our bags were, and there he is, sitting by our bags. So we had a good chat with him, and because he's a fantastic bloke. He's done it. Incredible, absolutely incredible what he's done. Just brilliant. So we had a good chat, didn't we? And
we did. We had a bit of a love-in with him, didn't we?
4 blokes having a love-in, it was good. And just what a brilliant bloke. So that was cool.
Yeah, real highlight. A fantastic man to meet.
Yeah. It was epic to carry Rob Burrows over the line at the end of the Leeds Marathon. Unbelievable. What that small gesture was so powerful.
Yeah, what a mate. And I think that's, I guess it's just blokes helping each other out, isn't it? It goes back to just being mates with each other and just being proper mates with each other, and not being scared to show your emotions and stuff, which I'm not talking about being weak at all, because that's, but there's power in that strength of, supporting each other. Massive power in that.
100%. So we've spoken a little bit about you guys, about yours, about Three Dads Walking, and your on TV, which you're becoming more and more famous every day. What do you guys are not together and not walking? How do you switch off? What do you do for yourselves?
I do a lot of walking. Well, living in the Lake District, well, I'm just outside, out in the Eden Valley. I've been brought up to be out on the fells, so I get out and do. In fact, today I've been out with another volunteer group called Fix the Fells. So there's a group of about 130 of us, 140 of us who go out and do path repairs and path maintenance. So I've spent I've spent 6 hours on cat bells today, digging a bloody great big hole, actually, to produce some soil that's get put down on a path. So I do that. And at the moment, I've got to say, I've got a massive interest in football because I'm a Man City supporter and have been all my life. So at the moment, I'm looking forward to the treble.
Yeah. I do a bit of walking.
So you're a City fan, yeah?
Yeah. Oh. Sorry, this is late. Yeah, so I just do a bit of. This morning I was up at 6 taking the doggy for a walk into the woods. We live in a rural, Norfolk, but there's no real hills here. There's a few little mounds, but no real hills.
Hills, bollocks to your hills.
Yeah, there's little mounds, mountains, mate. But I work and I've got, still got a young family at home, so that takes up a lot of my time, helping that out. But next week I'm away, thank goodness, and we're up in Scotland, and we will be doing some walking up in Scotland, and we go to Cornwall quite a lot as well. Cornwall's a really special place for us. Em used to love Cornwall, so we do that. But yeah. I'm still working and still busy with younger kids. I'm the one with the younger kids in the three of us. So yeah.
At the moment, Mike's time is taken up with a house move.
Yeah.
So he moved. Was it 2 weeks ago? He moved.
2 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's still unpacking loads of boxes. So
I'm being poorly, clearly.
Well, obviously being poorly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm doing the Great North Run this year for Papyrus, so I'm supposed to be out training. I get told off from my son for being lazy.
Good luck to you.
Excellent. I've got to do a bit of running, but we're doing the Baton of Hope like you, doing a bit of Baton of Hope in Manchester. So yeah, that'll be good fun. So that's something I've got to run for. So that'll be cool.
Yeah, actually, we're going to run from Old Trafford to the Etihad.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to
that. So that'll be really cool.
Yeah. We'll not talk football. I'm a Middlesbrough fan.
So close, yet so far. The Adam Nolan, the guy who's behind the camera for the BBC. He's a big Middlesbrough fan. In fact, he does a lot of filming at Middlesbrough in his spare time. And so, Adam wasn't that pleased when we saw him on Monday, was he?
No, he wasn't. Yeah, but it was good to see him.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Well, I traveled from Ipswich 250 miles to watch the Borough game to get beat to travel all the way back to Ipswich. So it was a 500-mile disappointing round trip. But,
we feel your pain. As a Man City fan, I've been through all that.
So just before we draw it to a close, you guys go. What message would you give to anybody these days if someone's struggling and some people get to that point? What message would you give them? What words would you say to them of encouragement?
Go on, Tim, do you want to start?
The thing, all three of us said that our daughters made a stupid decision, spur of the moment decision, stupid decision, and to do some of that suicide prevention training and to realise that those times pass. You have those really dark times, but they pass in a few minutes, and just as that. That message I read out from that 50-year-old that intercepted a 13-year-old girl who was about to take her own life. The 50-year-old stopped her, and a few months later, she's going to school. She's having a good life, and that would have been a really bad decision. And I think we've heard the most powerful stories we hear are those people that have been to the edge and have come out the other side, and are now. Life won't be perfect, but they're working. They've got families. They're at school. They are having a life. And they've been given a second chance. And I think that, to me, is so powerful when I hear those stories.
Yeah. And I think the thing that came into my head is the message that there is hope, and more critically, there is help. There is help out there, but the only way to access it is to talk, is to communicate. Somehow we need to build in this help-seeking behaviour that we talked about earlier on, because if people are in a desperate situation at the moment, kind of the societal norm is to try and internalize everything and sort everything out yourself, whereas actually what the right action is to do is ask for help, whether that be to friends and family or to pick up the phone to the likes of Hopeline 24/7. So yeah, that message that there is help out there and there is hope.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant! I mean, like you said, what you guys have done is unbelievable to get that message across. And I think, because you're on social media, the news, the TV, you know, that message is getting across. It's starting to trickle out to people that they can reach out. There is, like you said, the support lines out there for the number of charities in the Hope Line UK, and you know, as dads and as Papyrus, we just keep at it. We just got to keep going and keep it. So yeah, amazing.
Yeah,
definitely. Right. Well, I just want to say a massive thank you, a huge thank you for coming on and speaking to me. You know, it was an aim to talk about what you have been doing and stuff like that, but I just wanted to get to know you as dads, because like you said, it's the Three Dads Walking, it's the charity, it's Papyrus, it's your website, but it's nice for people to understand that actually you are real dads. You have gone through such a traumatic event, so you know it's keeping it human, if you know what I mean.
Well, all three of us have got surviving children, you know, so it's, well, I've not stopped being Sophie's dad. No, mine anything else.
Yeah.
You know, that doesn't go away. See, as you well know, you know that you're still Chloe's dad. You are, because you are. But it does kind of focus your mind, I suppose, on your surviving children, and it heightens the awareness. And I suppose for us, you know, our lad Greg is a bit older than Tim's youngest, the two children, and so Greg has done all right. Actually, he's had his moments, but you know, you don't stop being a dad, do you?
No, not at all. Trying to get them through it.
No. Yeah. I mean, I've got a younger daughter and an older son, and both my son's going in for, when we did the visit to the uni, one of the first questions I asked them was, what welfare support do you offer the students if they come across as looking to have low moods and stuff like that? So like you said, we've got other children, and it's been there for them, because it's difficult for us, but it's difficult for them as well, and it's just keeping an eye on them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I just want to say one other thing. We mentioned at the beginning about how far we are down the line and so on and so forth. And users quite newish to you guys, and I just want to offer my support to you guys if you ever need it, because I'm quite far down the line now. I've 9 years in 8 gone that passed away, so you know, and I'm in a decent place, so I love helping other people. And you know, if you guys ever need an ear, or you know, send an email or a message on Twitter, and you know, I'll get back to you. You know, I just want to offer my support to you.
Thanks
what
very
you
much.
guys are doing is nothing sort of amazing. Yeah. So just thank you very much for joining us, and I'll upload it on Twitter and Spotify and Amazon and YouTube, and I'll share it with you on social media, if that's all right with you guys.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah, be fine.
Right, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, Trevor.
See you, Trevor.
Cheers, mate.
Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye. 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 Right, that's it. That's the Nut Job podcast. 3 dads walking one step at a time. Unbelievable, guys. Unbelievable what they're doing. Shem, Mike couldn't join us, but he wasn't very well, so that's totally understandable. But just, if you can, have a, I hope you've taken something from this about what we need to do to get suicide prevention in the schools, how to encourage people. We definitely need to encourage people to talk, give them the option, organise something in your schools, organise something in your youth centres or your clubs and stuff like that. Give young people the option to say, I'm struggling. And that's all I want to say, the 3 Dads Walking message, immensely powerful, and they're doing a fantastic job getting the message out to everywhere. It's being in Parliament, talking about it on the news, and I just want to congratulate them for everything we've done. So, yeah, amazing. I'm lost for words, and I'm chuffed to bits that they came on. So, please, I'll put it on Spotify, YouTube, Amazon. So please have a listen, and if you can, share to the world, and let's get the message out. Okay, thanks very much everybody for listening, and have a good day. Bye.